Bruchim Habayim, welcome everyone. We are continuing on Shulchan Aruch Hilchot Shabbat. We started Siman Resh Mem Dalet is what we're doing today. This week's learning has been sponsored by the Seif family, by Dayan family, by Cohen families, for their ultimate hatzlacha, Be'ezrat Hashem, in every aspect. It should be a zchut for their families. Amen. And also, today's learning has been dedicated for Refuah Shlema of Rachel Simcha Bad Nahid and for Aliyat Neshama of Said ben Shlomo and Shlomo ben Yaakov, that the Neshamot should have an Aliyah. We're starting Siman Resh Mem Dalet. What can a goy do for a Jew on Shabbat and what can't? When you're doing business together with a goy, what exactly are things that could be expected from them and what can't be? Posek Adam im eno Yehudi ala melacha v'koses damim. A person could make a contract job with a Ovet Kochavim. This is actually a sugya that we had in Masechet Avodah Zarah, if you remember, in Daf Chaf Aleph. And your posek damim. What that means is we're going to focus on this more heavily in Siman Resh Mem Zayin. But it means that it's not a day-paid job that they're expected to work on Shabbat, but rather is not specific, it's not time specific, but rather it is the job specific. You're saying, do this job for me, and I will pay you X amount of dollars. I don't care when you do it. You could do it at night, in the middle of the night, in the morning, early morning, Fridays, Sundays. I don't care when you do it. Get the job done. And you get paid for finishing the job. Now, when he does it on Shabbat, if that's the case, he's doing it because he wants to get the job done earlier, not because I have asked him or I expect him to work on Shabbat. Then the guy is going to be doing the job for himself. Then if he chooses to do it on Shabbat, I didn't ask him, I didn't expect him to do it on Shabbat. He is choosing to do it for himself. It is considered him doing his own job on Shabbat, which will be mutar. Now, don't draw conclusions too fast because we're going to have a number of other requirements. But that is the structure of when the job done by a goy would be mutar. If you don't have any other side problems. Mainly, the issue of marit ayin. Because the onlooker that sees the goy dealing with my property on Shabbat, knowing that I own the property, says, wait a second, must be that he hired him to work on Shabbat. And there you just have a problem right there. So it says, the Shulchan Aruch, therefore, Bameh Devarim Amurim, when are we speaking about this? That's mutar, besina, only when it's hidden, when nobody else knows about it. Ben Ish Chai in Rav Pe'alim, in Helek Bet, he has a tshuva in Mem Gimel maybe, he writes that if you want the goy to come turn off the candles, the lights on Shabbat on Friday night, and turn them on back in the morning. Back in the day, you didn't have timers and smart switches and so on and so forth. Now this is much easier to have everything on timer in that way. But back in the day, you didn't want to waste 10 hours or plus the electricity or oil. So you want a goy to come turn it off, turn it on. So what do? So says Ben Shchai, you could actually hire him to do that in a way that he doesn't know that Shabbat is even part of it. Now, you tell him, I hired you for a year's worth to turn off and on the lights, and I pay you X amount of dollars. And every one that you do, for instance, you get, if you do 60 turning on and turning off a month, you'll have like a bonus, whatever it is. So you don't start it on Shabbat. You start it on a weekday. So this way the guy is doing every time that he does it for himself. Because he wants to get paid. He doesn't have to do it on Shabbat. If he misses one, he just, whatever. He's not expected necessarily to do every day. It's an opportunity for him to make money on every specific one that he does. But it's not any specific one that he must do. So therefore, when he does do it, he's getting paid. But says the Ben Ish Chai, he can't be in front of the people because that's Wavela. That will be Marit Ayin. So he has to come in the middle of the night, do it early in the morning. He turns it off at after everyone is gone from the shul, he turns on back before everyone comes to shul, and that is the way to do it. The Abiyah Omer also has similar tshuvot to this in Chalak Tet, Chalak Yud Aleph, discussing the nuances of this. You see, the reason I'm bringing this example is this is very much borderline. Is very close to a case that could be easily asur. If you tell him, do it every day, on every day I pay you this much, that will be asur, right? Because then you're paying it specifically for Shabbat as well. But if you tell him, look, I'm hiring you for a year, I pay you kach v'kach amount of dollars, and every one of the 60 that you do, you take a bonus, then he doesn't have to do any specific day. And this, the Ben Ish Chai himself in Sharot Tshuvot, Torah Lishma, if we assume that he wrote it, he actually has a dilemma where do you draw the line? Because you see very close cases that could be one mutar, one asur. So he tries to define that, as we will see, and hopefully we'll get into that a little bit more as well. So it says, the Shulchan Aruch, that's only if you do it besin'ah she'en makirin hakol shezu hamelacha nasit b'Shabbat shel Yisraeli. That's only when the people do not know that this melacha being done is for a Jew. Avalim hayta yedu'ah mufursemet. But if it's known, everyone knows that this is a property. It's like a melechet karka, mechubar lekarka. Everyone knows the piece of real estate belongs to the Jew. Then it's asur sheharoeh et eno Yehudi osek, because when they see the goy working, right? Let's say you have a talit of a Jew, with tzitziot, that's for sure it's for a Jew, right? And also on the atara he writes etan, and it has the name of the owner. Everyone knows Etan is a very famous guy. So the Jew sees this on Shabbat, the goy is working. Say, oh wait a second, I thought Etan was from Shabbat. Wavila, right? He has hired this guy to work for him. Then it becomes a problem, because they don't know. They don't know necessarily that he has made a contract job. He thinks that the Jew has hired him to do it with Dafka on Shabbat, and there you have a side problem of Marit Ayin. Now, the reason I'm calling it a side problem is because, technically speaking, you're not desecrating Shabbat. You haven't hired someone to work on Shabbat. He's doing it for himself. He's doing it for himself, because he could do it any day. He's just trying to hasten his process to be able to get jobs on Sunday. So he wants to get it done on Shabbat. You didn't ask him to do it on Shabbat. He doesn't have to do it on Shabbat. So technically speaking, mitzat hilchot Shabbat per se, you're fine. But you have an issue of Marit Ayin. The way it looks to the onlooker, it's a problem. And that's a side problem. So therefore, if you made a contract job with him to build your backyard or front lawn, right? So he's building a wall over there. Now, you told him, build a wall and I pay you X amount of dollars. Now, he could do it whenever he wants. He could come in the middle of the night and build it overnight. He could bring 10 workers and do it in 2 hours. Or he could come every Shabbat as a side job, right, as a side gig when he's working during the week, and comes on Shabbat and builds it. I didn't ask him to do it on Shabbat. Says the Shulchan Aruch, if you hire him as a contract that you finish this job and I give you that money, so then you don't have a Shabbat Amira Lakum problem, so to speak. Or you hire him to come mow your lawn, plow or harvest your field. If the job that you're asking him to do is b'medina or b'toch ha'tchum, is within the Jewish community or within the tchum of where people walk, Jews walk and see this property of yours, then it's a problem. Even though that technically you said it in a mutter way, but because of the way it looks to the onlooker, is marit ayin, and that would be asur. Because the people don't know that you made a contract job. They come see that and say, whoa, he's mowing his lawn on Shabbat, or he's building a wall on Shabbat. Must be that he went to Home Depot and hired him to work today. And that's asur, of course. You can't hire somebody to work for you on Shabbat. So therefore, it will be asur mipene marit ayin. But if it's outside the tchum, where no Jew walks or passes by, then that would be fine. Even if you live, generally speaking, in a Goyish neighborhood, still you have to be concerned because the guests are always coming and going, livnei beito, she'achshdu oto, or your own family, extended family members, that they may suspect him for having done the wrong thing. But if it's outside the tchum where no Jew could walk, then and there's no other tchum, there's no other Jews in any shape or form that are going to be walking in that place, then says the Shulchan Aruch, mutar, it's fine. ואינו יהודי שהסכים son של ישראל לדייר שדהו, and a goy, we will talk about this, a goy that is machnis son shel Israel ledir sadeu, that he brings the property of the Jew, the flock of the Jew, in his own field to take care of it. We'll see what the halacha is going to be with that. So that's the basic gist of this seif, of two elements. Of one, the melechet ktitza, when you have a contract job, a posek vekatzas damim, that you made a job definition and a certain amount of money that he's going to get paid. That's a way, that's mutter to do it for a goy that's going to be job, it's defined by the job, not by the day. And then you have to take care of making sure that it's not something that could be a marit ayin, that looks bad to the people, thinking that this is not mutar. Now, the difference is, if you have a type of job that everyone does it, b'ktisa, everyone in town, nobody does this type as a paid job. There are certain jobs that are always hired for the job type of thing. You do this for me, you get paid. When do you do it? I don't care, wherever you want to do it. So that, if you have a type of melacha like that, then there's no marit ayin, because every Jew that sees the goy working there knows that the way this specific job is always with ktitza, is always with contract. Nobody hires a day worker, pay him by the day, pay him by the hour to do this type of job. It's a type of job that you hire a contractor, they get the job done whenever they get the job done, and they get paid a certain amount of money. If you have a type of melacha like that, then you have already gotten around the marit ayin as well, because nobody is going to suspect that this guy hired a goy to work for him on Shabbat. Everyone knows that this is a contractor, and he's doing it because he wants to do it on Shabbat, not because it is asked by the Jew to do it on Shabbat. Says the Mishna Berura, this concept is called kavlanut. Kavlanut is a contractor job, right? That you make a condition with the contractor, with the group, with the person, that he gets a certain job done for you and he gets paid a certain amount of dollars. We will discuss in Siman Reshmem Zayin what happens if you're not paying him. He's doing it for you as a favor, and then, well, every favor has a price, right? That you're gonna do other things for him, or you have done stuff for him, and now he's paying back, so to speak, your as hakarat hatov, as a debt of gratitude. He's paying back that debt, trying to do a favor for you back.
Going back to the halacha l'maaseh, but I think you mentioned if it's a contract, so that therefore today we would say having a gardener, all these things should be mutar, because it's known that you don't tell them, I only want you to come on Wednesdays. You're paying them for a job. You're paying them to come. So
gardener is a very tricky one, because usually the gardener tells you, I'm coming on Mondays. Right? They're not coming a different day of the week whenever they want. They could come whenever they want, but they also have a set date that they'll tell you. So you are basically hiring them in the beginning knowing that they're going to be working only on Shabbat. So that should, of course, be avoided.
So you hire them to, I only want you to come on Wednesdays. 1 week he comes on a Saturday because he could come that Wednesday and go.
That's that again. If the people will understand that this is a one-time thing that happened, yeah, in Achinami. As long as people know that you have not hired him to work on Shabbat, you're good. Now, it's not always the case. Again, I think gardener is a little bit of a tricky example.
But let's say building a house. Building a house, you have subs that come, and they say, we're doing drywall, we're doing flooring. So you're telling them, I want you to fix the flooring. It might take them 2 weeks, a week, 10 days.
Right, so anything that's known to people that this is for sure done as a contract job, nobody hires a group of people to come today and put drywalls. If that's the case, yeah, Achinami. Now, we will see that some communities are more stringent than some others, but that will be the Mikar Adin. That's what we're coming off as of right now, until we see more. So says the Mishna Berura, why is this mutar? Because once you do a k'tzisat damim, once you have a set price, he wants to get that money. Let's imagine you tell him, okay, pay you, you put all the drywalls, I give you $10,000. So when he's coming there to do it, he wants his $10,000. He doesn't care about what day it is it night, is it midnight. He wants to get it done for himself. He doesn't care about your building or your well-being. He cares about his pocket. He's been hired to do a job. He wants to do it as soon as possible to get the next job because he can pay more. Right? Imagine if he gets paid by the day, right? He could sit there waste time because he gets paid by the day. Right? He doesn't care. But if he's paid by the job, then he wants to do it as soon as possible because he could get the next job now. Right? In 1 month, he could do 5 jobs or 10 jobs if he's very fast and he's working around the clock. So therefore, when he wants to do 10 jobs and he comes on Shabbat and Sunday and midnight, and he's doing it for himself, and that's fine. The Yisraeli doesn't care. He doesn't. Bedavka want him to. Now, if you have a thing that Israel does care, for instance, he gives his car to be fixed, and he says, Friday afternoon at 7:00 p.m. right before Shabbat, and he says, Saturday night I need to travel, so I'm gonna come pick it up. And there's no way that the person could do that. This amount of hours that it takes, it would require him to work half of the day on Shabbat. Then it's a different story. You're asking him indirectly. You're asking him to work on Shabbat. But if you tell him, I have no rush. The car, service the car, change the tires, change the brakes, brake pads, whatever needs to be done, oil change. And he could be doing it on any day. He decides to do it on Shabbat. Even though that he has enod milevado et fezulato on the bumper sticker and all the other amazing things that the bumper stickers say, it's fine. Why? Because everyone knows that the job is not that I want you to work on Shabbat. You give the car into the shop and you say, change it whenever you're done. I pay you the money. Right? If that's the case. If you have a place that people go and say, no, I want you today to be fixed, then it will be different. But again, these are things that depend on what's understood in the people's mind. As soon as you have kavlanut, as soon as you have contract type of job, then it's mutar mikar adin. You only have to deal with a potential problem of marit ayin, depending on whether or not that job is done as a day-paid job, usually in the community, or as a kavlanut, as a contractor job. So says the Mishnah Berura, when we say the condition is that the goy is doing it betzinah, hiddenly, the haynush yimelechet tzina. You're talking about the type of job that is not out in the open. People don't notice that this is the Jewish guy's work. וכמו שמפרש, אבל אם החינמי, אפילו אם הוא עושה אותה בפרס ישרי. If it's a type of thing that is sin'ah, that nobody knows that this job is for a Jew, then even if he does it on the street is mutar, right? Nobody knows that these aprons are for a Jew. It doesn't look Jewish, doesn't have any name or logo or nothing. Nobody knows. So you hired him to print some things on the aprons or sew up some stuff. If he does it out in the open, mutar, because nobody knows that this is a Jew. It's called melechet sin'ah. It's something that nobody would know that this is a Jewish job. Nobody knows that this is a job hired by a Jew. Even if some people, yechidim, few people know that this is hired by a Jew, shari still is mutar. I mean, the guy himself knows, his family probably knows, right? Even though the Rama at the end of this very Seif is going to say that even your family and household could be suspecting you and it could become a problem. Says the Mishna Berura, there is a little different because there is talking about real estate. Real estate is mechubar lekarka, is attached to the ground. Ustam mechubar shem ba'alav nikra alav. Regular groundwork, real estate is always attached to its owner's name, right? Nowadays it's actually attached because you could Google it and you can find out. But even back in the day, when a person purchased the land, everyone knew this is Reuben's land, this is Shimon's land. Everyone knew it. That's how people identified pieces of land. This is this guy's land, that's that guy's land. So when he owns a piece of property, a piece of real estate, that carries his name with it, and therefore Chachamim were much more stringent when it comes to melechet karka. Anything that's attached to the ground, to a real estate piece, Chazal were much more machmir. Lefichach, therefore says the Shulchan Aruch, Chazal explains, regular piece of real estate, we assume as though it is known that this is the Jews. It's not like making aprons, right? Now people do know, don't know, I just bought this. We assume that people know who this land belongs to, and therefore you have to always be careful with jobs that are, so if you want a wall built on your property, it's your property, so it's known to people that this is a Jewish property, we don't care that you do kavlanut. It's menachet mechubar lekarka. It's attached to the ground. Attached to the ground means your name is on it. Your name is on it, bad news. All right? You can't do it. So it says, the Mishnah Berura, v'yachshedu she'iskiru leyamim, and they're going to come to suspect him that he has hired this person for Shabbat, or for days, based on days, and that would be, of course, asur. But even though that by field, usually, how do you have someone harvest your produce? How do you hire them? Do you hire them per day, per hour? No. Usually is by arisut. You hire an aris. That means you take care of my land, you take 20% of whatever you take. Right? So that is kavlanut. Arisut is a form of kavlanut. You don't care when he harvests the produce. You could do it Sunday, you could do it Shabbat, you could do it Friday. It doesn't make a difference. You do it, you get a percentage. Even though that should be mutar. When an onlooker sees a person on Shabbat on your field harvesting, he would say, oh, well, it's mutar because it's aris. Aris works for himself because he gets percentage. Just like we had in the last previous shiur in Siman Reshmim Gimel. Mikol makom asur, still it will be asur. Why? The shani hatam, the kesheyachkeru adavar imatzeh shekenhu shal Yehudi cholek b'perot. When they research on a case of aris, a regular case of aris, when they ask, they realize that he is actually getting a percentage of the fruits. But here, in the case that we have, when he is harvesting, you see, he puts everything in the silo of the Baal Habayit, of the owner. People don't see that he's taking home something. They'll know that he's not an aris, because again, here you're not hiring an aris. Here you are hiring a person to work, and he could do it whenever he wants. It's a contract job. So they don't see that the person takes home something with himself. They will know that this is not necessarily arisut. And therefore, it will be a chashat, furthermore, sheschar yomu, that this is considered a schir yom. People will think that he's a schir yom. Because there is shachiach, the shachiach is korpanim yamim l'melacha. It still is very much in the time of Chafetz Chaim, the time of Shulchan Aruch, still is very prevalent, is very common that people would hire a worker for a day's work. Even if the minhag of the whole town is people hiring bekibolet, betkavlanut, taz lachmir shelo laniach leno Yehudi lasot b'sadeh b'Shabbat. Taz is machmir that we still don't let the goy do this on Shabbat and Yom Tov in public. V'chol shken bebinyan bet bayit, and certainly goes without saying that building a house will be an issue on Shabbat, even though that you did it bekibolet, even though that you did it bekavlanut. Still, people are going to think that you hired a person based on day's work. Because that also is common. So when you have two things common, you still have the problem. Unless nobody does it this way, nobody hires a per day worker, everybody does it contract, then it will be mutar. Because both of them are done in that way, and certainly for building a house. There are those who are mekel when the entire town does bekavlanut. In that already they're willing to be mekel. Now we're going to discuss. There's a lot of Berura lacha over here which we have to discuss. Bezrat Hashem, we'll continue this. We're leaving this a little bit mid-air, but we'll pick up where we left. Bezrat Hashem, discussing this kibolet and they paid, and the concept of chashad in the next shiur. Chazak u'beruch.